Greetings once again, friends, live from Retro Central. My name is Peter, and I welcome you back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is not an official consolation video, as I am still in the process of recovering. For those that don't know, I've not been in good health over the last 10 days or so. Today is really the first day since July 4th that I have felt well enough to be in front of the camera. It's been a rough ride, but I'll talk a little bit more about that shortly. What's more important to me today is to pay my respects to Nintendo President Satoru Iwata, who lost his battle with cancer this past weekend at the age of 55. I am shaken by the loss because he was just so recently at least appearing to be in good health. We knew that things weren't 100%. We knew that Mr. Iwata had had surgery recently, but it kept things very much under wraps. And we had recently seen Mr. Iwata as part of the Nintendo Direct for E3 when he became a puppet and was holding bananas, and he seemed to be okay, at least then. But here we are in mid-July, and Mr. Iwata is no longer with us. Now, I am not the largest of modern-day Nintendo fans. By the time that Mr. Iwata had taken over the reins for Nintendo from Hiroshi Yamauchi, my allegiances, per se, had already changed. I was more of a Sony person at the time, although I still played games on Nintendo systems. My interests had kind of changed. That doesn't mean that I didn't recognize a lot of the things that Mr. Iwata had done. I knew of his programming prowess. I had read the stories about how he came in and helped out with Earthbound and the things that he had done with Pokemon. But I really didn't know a lot about him other than front-facing what he was doing with the public as president of the company. I'll admit that in my analyst days, I was critical of Mr. Iwata's strategies and decision-making, but that did not make me think of Mr. Iwata as any less of a person or a human being. He was very engaging on camera, very likable personality, very gracious frontman for Nintendo. One of the best representatives, aside from Howard Phillips, and then, of course, Shigeru Miyamoto. I mean, those three put on such great faces for Nintendo that it was difficult to not like the company because of who was promoting them. Now, everybody has their favorite memories of Mr. Iwata. Rollerball here is mine, and I'll tell you a little bit about why. A couple of years ago, I did a series of pieces for One More Castle, which sadly is going to be going away soon, or at least not being active anymore. I did a series for One More Castle called Pinball Alley. You may even see some of the videos way down on my uploaded videos for this channel, where I shot them in my office with my laptop camera. They were really bad. But anyway, Rollerball is one of the pinball games that I covered, and in playing the game and kind of looking at the credits and such afterwards, I saw one of the credits as S. Iwata, and I didn't put two and two together until I realized that Mr. Iwata was working with HAL Laboratories at the time. HAL, of course, is the mastermind behind this game as far as putting it together. So I thought that was really neat. And then come to find out after Mr. Iwata's passing that he had a hand in the NES version of pinball. At least that's what I think I heard. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. And that love of pinball really connects me to him. Those of you who know me know how important I think that pinball is, how special I think it is, whether it's playing on the NES or whether it's playing on the PlayStation 4 with Pinball Arcade and Zen Pinball 2. Or whether it's playing actual pinball machines in arcades like I did at Fun Spot last year. So that's where I get my connection with Mr. Iwata. And that, and just his presence, how down to earth and how happy he was, despite all of the criticism, despite the building pressure to make Nintendo a success again after the Wii had been so big. And looking back on it, some of the criticism was harsh, and if I could take it back, I would, because he did the best he could, I think, and he worked hard. He worked until the very end, something that a lot of people who have cancer diagnoses wouldn't do. They would give up. They would go home. They would live out the rest of their days and not worry about the pressure. But Mr. Iwata stuck through it until cancer won. And that stands out to me. The other thing that stands out to me is that Mr. Iwata was just 55 years old, 12 years my senior. Now, that ties into my health, because this past week I thought for sure that I was done. I have not been well the last 10 days, as I mentioned. Hadn't been able to eat any meals, hadn't been sleeping, had some stomach pain, and I just couldn't help but think to myself that, this wasn't resolving. This was going to be it. Some of it, I admit, is nerves and anxiety, which it always is when it comes to health stuff. Most people in the U.S. know about our healthcare situation and how lousy it is, and how you're responsible for the first $5,000 for a lot of people, and I don't have anywhere near $5,000, so I decided to fight this myself, and I was scared. But I realized in Mr. Iwata's passing, and with my own health problems, that I really need to pay attention to what I have on my whiteboard, which is make every second count. It's something that I always say. I say it to myself constantly. I talk about it on social media quite a bit, especially after people lose any kind of health battle and we lose them. I talk about how preciously short life is, and how we need to take advantage of every second, how we need to stop making excuses for not doing the things that we want to do. And as it turns out, I am as guilty of this, probably more guilty than anybody else, because I really don't have the excuses that 95% of you have. Some days I don't feel like I have the energy. I don't feel like I have the strength. I don't feel like I have the motivation. And those aren't excuses at all. They're not valid. It takes but a few minutes to sit here in front of the iPad and share some memories with all of you, which is something I want to do. I'm not in it for money. I'm not in it for fame. I'm just doing it just to share. So there's no responsibility there. There's not a lot of editing that goes on. All I have to do is come up with a topic and go. When it comes to writing, it doesn't take much to bang out 500 or 1,000 words about a topic that I want to touch on. But I always feel like I'm too tired, or I can do it later, or it's something that I can plan to do. But this weekend, this passing of Mr. Iwata, my health issues have really brought this to the forefront. And it's something that maybe more of you can consider, is that life is fleeting. We don't know when the sands of the hourglass will run out. And when they do, how will you reflect back on your life when you know that the last seconds are near? Did you do everything that you wanted to do? And if not, why? Are those reasons really valid reasons? A lot of things on my bucket list I did accomplish. I was fortunate enough to go to E3 for 3 years. 3 of the best events that I've ever been to. I will be grateful every day of my life and after. I'm grateful for all of the writing opportunities that I've had. For any particular website that I've written for, from About.com way back in 2001, to PSX Extreme in the mid-2000s, to Games Are Evil, to Gaming Nexus, to Retroware, who I contribute to now, to Hit the Pass, who I'm a contributor for now. I mean, these sites gave me opportunities to share my content with wider audiences. And that's always been the payoff for me, is hoping that more people will get to see what I write, and somebody somewhere might identify with it or enjoy it, or maybe cause them to create content in response. That's always been what I've wanted to do. I did have an inkling back in the 2000s about trying to write for a living, but now that I'm back in school and trying to become a teacher, it's much different. Now I'm doing it because I want to, and because I trying to build a small legacy for myself of, hey, that guy, he was really into video games and he knew what he was talking about. He really cared. Or, yeah, I remember talking to him on Twitter. He was a pretty cool guy. He wasn't mean. These are the things that I hope whenever my end comes, whether it's next week or next year or later than that, that people will have. Not that I was a jerk, not that I was lazy, not that I couldn't do things or didn't do things that I said I would do, but rather that I did a lot of things that people tended to like. And perhaps in your own lives, make every second count as something that we need to at least keep somewhere. Because time is finite, and nobody knows when the end comes, and when it does, you can't go back and do the things that you wanted to do. It's already too late. As for me, I'm back on schedule. I'm planning on shooting another video tomorrow. I have some ideas for writing that I'm going to get done as my health allows, as I continue to get better. I'm still, as you can see, not quite 100%. But I'm really going to make a concerted effort to keep that saying close to heart, because as this weekend was a very grim reminder of, not only for myself, but in tragic circumstances, you have to make every second count, because there just aren't enough of them. To all of you who have been affected by Satoru Iwata's passing, I send my deepest condolences and sympathies. I empathize as you struggle to come to grips with the fact that Mr. Iwata is gone. And if there's anything that I can do, whether it's dropping me a line or saying hi to me on Twitter or something, I'd be more than happy to give whatever help that I can, as we all try and get through a very difficult time. Thanks for watching, everybody, and look forward to tomorrow's video. What it will be about, I don't know, but I'll deal with that then. Until the next time, everybody, make every second count, and take care.